The Crystal Palace match all but confirmed that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got one strategy that is working, and this is going to land Manchester United in a whole lot of trouble because Manchester United is going to be predictable throughout the season. These were my fears during the preseason. I once mentioned in earlier videos that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was only concentrating on using the 4-2-3-1 strategy. If you notice, 95% of his preseason matches were using that. So the idea here is that everybody is going to know exactly how to do with Manchester United, and what makes it worse is Manchester United itself does not know how to change this situation. If you notice, Manchester United can only attack through the middle. Look at all of our goals, look at all of our chances, and everything that we create, we go down the middle. Why is it we cannot do anything else outside that? Is because an amateur manager and an amateur board came up with such a situation. How do you go into a summer and come out with a team with only one way of attacking? This is the reason why Manchester United is not only going to be going a maximum fourth, but my prediction is worsened to worst case scenario of probably being 10th. Yes, this is real, but guys, this is serious business, and there's nothing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can do about it at this moment. The more mistakes Manchester United make in the transfer market, the more money it will take to bring Manchester United back from the abyss. The reason why Manchester United can only attack through the middle is because of the type of players that it has. Let's start from the front. You've got Anthony Martial there, right? Anthony Martial can only receive the ball as a through pass. He can only run onto the ball, as we call it. The other option for a striker is to actually give his back to goal and become a target man, probably stop the ball and bring other players into the match. But Anthony Martial can only run onto the ball because he's not very good with his first touch, and he's not a very good dribbler as well. He's not he's not exceptional in the air. So all the other options, like making him a target man, do not work. So anybody who is defending against Manchester United knows that Martial can only do one of a couple of things: either run onto the ball or wait for a cross and tap it in, etc. It's going to make him very predictable and very remarkable. Now, the bad thing is the substitute, or the person who's also going to be switching with Martial in that role, who is Rashford, is the same type of striker. Rashford is only good at taking dead balls, which are free kicks and corner kicks, making long range shots and having a lot of pace, receiving the ball with the touch and probably slotting the ball home. He's also not good at being a target man. He doesn't have first touch ball control that will allow him to actually stop the ball and bring the other players into play. He's also not good at quick passes like 1-2, 1-2 that he can actually use to penetrate defenses. So we've got one type of striker up ahead, even though there are two options for us. This will make Manchester United very predictable, and such a striker can only operate through the middle, because since we said both are not very good at dribbling or going with the 1-2, 1-2 passing, it means they can't come in from the wings or any other direction. These are players that you do not want on the ball for far too long. These are players that cannot last too long on the ball. If you notice, actually, their heat maps for their matches so far, there isn't a particular area that they're really bossing, because they're not able to actually get into a zone control play there. To control play, a player has to be sturdy on the ball like Paul Pogba, to be able to receive the ball, shield the ball, and pass it around while building up play. These guys can't do that. That's why you usually see Rashford running through on counter-attacks. The same cases for Martial, because players who really aren't good with the ball just run. And basically that's what we have. So these guys can't come in from the wings. Now, looking at our wingers, our forwards, they are what are called inverted forwards. If you notice, Daniel James, if you notice Rashford, who else are we playing there? Okay, let's just talk about those two, Daniel James and Rashford, maybe even Pereira. When they receive the ball, they actually are not able to go to the touch lines or to the bylines. The byline being that line which goes across the goal, right? Which if the ball goes out, someone needs to hit to kick a corner kick. They can't get there because they don't have the skills. If you notice, they actually cut in. Cutting in is a skill that is actually used by a lot of wingers, but teams that have depth actually have different types of wingers. Some that cut in, called inverted wingers, and some that actually can go to the touchline and cross, or to the byline and cut the ball in. Manchester United only has inverted wingers, and as you have noticed, they're not very good at being an inverted winger. If you want to be an inverted winger and useful, you have to be like Iron Robben and Eden Hazard. That's being actually an expert at being one-dimensional. Pereira, James, Rashford cannot do that. They can only keep the ball for 1 or 2 seconds, and they can only pass to 1 or 2 people before they lose the ball. If you actually look at statistics from being dispossessed, they're actually very high up there. So we have inverted wingers that are not very good at being inverted wingers, unlike City's inverted wingers such as Sterling, even though he's a bit more dynamic than the guys that I'm talking about. So any team knows that if these wingers receive the ball, they're going to cut in. With other teams, you can actually see people cutting in, and sometimes the wingers going to the touchline and crossing. This provides more options for attack and makes the team less predictable. Manchester United is very predictable in this regards. Now, I'll actually head straight to the fullbacks, because when you have inverted wingers who can't go to the touchline to cross, your other option is to have fullbacks who then overlap and cross that ball. As you know, I've been on Wan-Bissaka's case. I'm actually going to review him very soon. He's not very good at attacking. Wan-Bissaka has actually managed to start crossing the ball in the Crystal Palace match, even though the crosses were of poor quality. He does not provide that attacking threat like you get from the likes of Hector Bellerin, Danny Rose. You're looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're looking at Robertson, Alonso, Azpilicueta. You're looking at Mendy, Cancelo, and the likes. They don't have that type of attacking prowess that actually provides another method of attack, which is overlapping fullbacks who cross early, maybe from the touchline, or cross late from the byline. And even if we had those players, we don't have the wingers who can then do the 1-2-1-2 passing with them, like I'm saying. So we don't have that option as well. Luke Shaw actually does not cross the ball from the touchline like you'd expect from a fullback. He's actually sort of like an inverted fullback as well. When he's attacking, he cuts in, and you actually are my witness. You know that he does not do much of that as well. He does not create many chances, maybe 1 or 2 per match, but he's not good at crossing, which is something that would be actually very useful. Right now, I think Martial is a pretty decent header of the ball, and now we've got Maguire. He can actually come in late and cross the ball in. Shaw can't do that, so fullbacks down. Another option we could use is Lindelof, sort of like helping as an auxiliary attacker. He's actually very good running with the ball to the middle and providing those balls in. He could actually then feed the balls to the wings or down the center. Down the center it works, like I said, we've got somebody like Rashford and Martial can run onto the ball, but down the wings, again, it does not help because we don't have those wingers who can run out wide and cross the ball from the touchline, so that renders him pretty useless. What else do we have? We've got Paul Pogba and McTominay in the middle. McTominay is kind of dead. He's not really much of a creative player. Yes, he helps as a supporting midfielder, but that's just about it. Our most creative midfielder in Paul Pogba somehow is being played deep by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so as to provide that long ball that Rashford can run through, which is the main tactic Manchester United is using right now, going through the middle. As to what else he can provide, is not being played high enough to cause much problems, and he doesn't have the wingers running out wide so he can spray the ball out there. So he's basically stuck playing the ball in the middle. He can't give the ball to Wan-Bissaka because Wan-Bissaka is not doing much with the ball up ahead. Then we've got Jesse Lingard. Already he's an option of going through the middle, so he would represent the main tactic that is already working for Manchester United. But to add to that, he doesn't have the capacity to actually control the game from the number 10 role and actually spread the ball left or right. And if you look at our bench, which options do we have that can actually change Manchester United's play? Well, Lukaku, you've already sold him. He would have helped us in the air, provided a sort of like different type of attacking option. He would have been able to hold the ball a lot more, probably hold it down for the other players to come into play and create something, but most likely that would have been also from the middle. But what I like about Lukaku, if you noticed last season, he was actually able to engage himself in build-up play, especially from the wing. Sometimes they actually play as a right forward. That is an option we have lost there. Who else on the bench can do something for us? Sanchez again is on his way to Inter Milan, so it means we don't have that option as well. But he also was an inverted winger, but with a bit more energy, so he was more like the options that we have right now. So looking at Manchester United right now, it is not possible for it to attack in any other way rather than through the middle. First of all, because of the personnel that it has in its ranks. Second of all, because the manager is concentrated on the 4-2-3-1. And third of all, because even if we change formations to 3-5-2, 4-3-3, 4-4-2 or something like that, we don't have the players that can actually provide the dynamism that we need to attack differently. Now, if you look at a team like Manchester City, I want to put this into context so you understand just how much in trouble Manchester United is. Manchester City can attack in about 4 or 5 different ways. This makes them unpredictable and always makes them the favorite to actually win something. If you notice, they can go through the middle. Sergio Aguero scores from the middle, right? They can create something from the center. De Bruyne hits those early lobbed in-swinger, out-swinger balls. I don't know what you call them. They can attack from the fullbacks. You've noticed the fullbacks, Zinchenko. You've noticed Cancelo going through to the byline, actually crossing the ball. They can attack through the wingers from an inverted nature. I've seen Sane, Sterling, Mahrez, and what you call them? Silva actually cutting in, scoring and creating chances through passes. They can actually also cross the ball from the touchline via the fullbacks. They can also cross the ball from the byline via the forwards, right? You also see them doing 1-2s through the middle, usually when they've got David Silva, and slicing and dicing opponents apart. This actually helps for teams to actually contend with different types of players, different types of defense, different types of attacks, and the less predictable you are, the more chances you have of prospering through the season. Manchester United, unfortunately, does not have that option, so you're going to see Manchester United suffering against a lot of teams, especially those teams who sit back. Like I said in the last episode, Paul Pogba has to be played differently depending on who is we are playing. If we're playing an attacking team, Paul Pogba has to sit back so that he can create those chances for Rashford behind the high sitting backline. If the team that we're playing against is actually sitting back, Paul Pogba has to play in that 10 role, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is playing him deep besides Bissaka all the time. This is a sign of tactical immaturity. If you want to see more about that, go for the video that I actually recorded before this. But basically, this is why Manchester United is in trouble, and it's not going to get any better. You'll also notice that referees have continued to try to assist Manchester United to win matches. In the 9th minute, you see Lingard fouling a player before Rashford actually gets a chance on goal. The referees let that go. That would have been a breakthrough for Manchester United, and the game would have gone in a different direction. I used to wonder why other fans complain about the likes of Howard Webb, but it really seems like Manchester United is trying to get the assistance of referees, and unlike last season in those first matches that I reviewed, this has not led to actually Manchester United getting an advantage. So it's that luck that Manchester United was relying on in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first stint that made people think that he's a good coach. That is now actually not going the way Manchester United this time around, and you can see in the results that we are actually in trouble. So referees trying to assist Manchester United 2-0 as per my analysis so far, which is 100%. Last season I ended on 83.33%. Let's keep tracking this to see actually how that goes. And also another quick question: would you think that Daniel James actually came in on the recommendation of Ryan Giggs by any chance? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I think Giggs had a lot to do with this situation. I don't see exactly what Daniel James brings to Manchester United. His 2 goals can't really be talked about. The first one was a deflection. It actually made the wrong decision by fading out wide. The second one, he was standing in the middle of the area with nobody really marking him. But in terms of during the game, what he's really doing for us, is he a game changer? He's not going to be a game changer. Just like Eden Hazard is not going to be a game changer at Real Madrid. I've also got a video coming up on that later on. But what do you think of Daniel James? Do you think Giggs had something to do with this? I think something along those lines happened. I've been telling you since last season that Lindelof is poor in the air, and Crystal Palace did the right thing to target him via Schlupp, and the goal actually got in. I don't know what we can do about Lindelof. I'm thinking we should look at the bench, at our other options, and even look at pushing Lindelof up the field and replacing McTominay, who's out of sorts at the moment. So put Lindelof in the center and probably bring one of our defenders in, like Royo if he's fit. Bailey maybe later on in the year when he's actually fit. I don't know what you think about this. Let me know in the comments below. Another reason why Manchester United didn't do so well is the way that Pogba was being played. I mentioned in the last episode that when a team is sitting back, you're not going to get that space behind the back line so that Rashford can attack. Because basically, like I said, Rashford is a striker who likes to latch onto a through pass or a high ball and go behind the last man and slot the ball in. There was not that space in the match, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shocked me by letting Paul Pogba sit back. Paul Pogba was supposed to play the Lingard role. I don't know what you think about this. Let me know, but this is what I think. When a team is sitting back, Pogba should play the 10. This is another reason why they didn't win. Why? Because they were relying on Paul Pogba hitting long balls and finding strikers who were actually backed up by defenders. And even though this might have been the plan, Paul Pogba actually was hitting wayward balls to the forwards. This is another major reason why we didn't fare so well in that match. Another thing that I think should happen in the next match is Luke Shaw should definitely hit the bench. I'm sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer right now, even if he's not such a good coach, can see that Luke Shaw is fast becoming a liability. What I want is for Young to actually replace him. Yes, Young had a very tough time with Wilfried Zaha, but so many right backs or left backs. Yes, I was on Young's case last season that he gets passed by a lot, but since both defenders are not actually good at covering balls, it would actually be a wise idea to put Young, because he actually did manage to shoot a goal and cause 1 or 2 issues for Crystal Palace at the back. So I think Young should be an option. But now, continuing the theme of Manchester United trying to bring back the class of 92, which is not going to be a successful endeavor. You actually are hearing rumors that an under-18 is set to replace Luke Shaw in the next game against Southampton. I think this is going to be a very bad idea, because Southampton has got Redmond and Ward-Prowse, who actually are very good at creating chances for their team. I'll actually talk more about Southampton versus Manchester United in my preview, which is the next video about this one, after this one. So subscribe so that you can actually get to view that one. But what do you think about Manchester United bringing in this under-18 instead of Ashley Young? I know both our left backs are bad, but I think an under-18 kid might actually be worse. I mean, the jury is out on this one, but Manchester United seems to be losing the plot, seems to be losing it with this whole academy stuff. It's not going to work in this day and age where it's all about the money. It's all about the money, guys, and if you don't have the players, you're not going to win, period. Though it's not yet reflecting in the results because our strategy is generally poor, what has worked for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is actually reducing the amount of attacks that teams actually launch against us. I've been tracking what I call the attacking actions being conducted against Manchester United this season has been pretty low, and the Crystal Palace actually surprisingly saw the lowest tally of about 10 attacking actions, which is pretty good, showing that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is shoring things up a bit. But in shoring things up a bit, is losing that attacking touch, so we'll see how he'll manage to balance that, if at all. Another thing that is drawing Manchester United back is politics. Why does Paul Pogba get to hit free kicks? When was the last time you actually saw Pogba scoring a free kick? But he gets them. I'm sure we've got players who are better at that, like Pereira, Juan Mata. So in the case that you want to play a strategy where you're getting free kicks, make sure one of these players are in the game. At any rate, if Rashford is on the pitch, I think Rashford should take all free kicks. Yes, I'm not very much of a fan of the kid. I don't think it's Manchester United quality, but in terms of free kicks, he's much better than Paul Pogba, and I think he should be getting those. What do you think about Paul Pogba getting those free kicks? Why is he getting them? Do you think that he has earned them, or it's probably just politics, people trying to please him since he's a want-away star, and you know he's got a whole lot of commercial rights bringing money to the club, so he kind of like calls the shots on a lower level, and this is why he's being led to get away with murder like this. I talked about replacing Luke Shaw. Another player that needs to be replaced right now is Wan-Bissaka. I did mention in the first 2 reviews that Wan-Bissaka was letting in a lot of key chances from the other team. If you check my Twitter page, I had one word was written: Wan-Bissaka allows 4 big chances. And if you look at the goals in this match, they all came from Lindelof and Bissaka's sides. I think the whole defense needs a look at, and I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to keep in the players that is signed, but they're not really working out well for him right now, so it might do him well to consider looking at Diogo Dalot. These players also need game time, and they'll probably be getting demotivated on the sideline. That's something that he should really consider. Wan-Bissaka out, Diogo Dalot out, Luke Shaw out, probably Ashley Young or Damian in. I mean, what else does he have to lose? The ones that he has on the pitch are not providing much. So a summary of the 3 games that we've played so far. Most influential players have been Anthony Martial and Wan-Bissaka. When it comes to ratings, yes, Wan-Bissaka has actually been rated a bit well, but in terms of actually what he's contributing is not much. This actually reflects on Manchester United as an entity, and what a reason that's actually pushing up his ratings is the next point in terms of our possession. Most of our possession is being held by Wan-Bissaka and Paul Pogba at the edge of Manchester United's defensive third as you enter the middle third. Imagine a team like Manchester United, most of the possession is being played down there. The last 3 matches, it means that we're setting ourselves up as a counter-attacking team, trying to draw teams onto us and actually then launching the counter-attack via Paul Pogba, probably with the long ball to Rashford. Like I said, this does not work against teams that sit, in the last 2 matches have been testament of that. Wolves was sitting, we drew them 1-1. Crystal Palace was sitting, we lost to them 2-1. So is this a trend where Manchester United has issues against sitting teams? I'm definitely going to be looking at that, but most of our position is actually in that third. Now, again, in support of Ashley Young has actually created 5 chances in a half, compared to Luke Shaw creating 4 chances in 3 matches. This is also compared to Paul Pogba, who's created about 7 chances in 3 matches. So Ashley Young is actually doing better than all these guys, or all Manchester United players, in terms of creating chances per minute. So I would be very surprised to see if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer omits him in the next match, and it's this under 18 guy that they've been talking about. It really would show that our coach has got problems tactically. It seems like Anthony Martial is our most potent force going forward in terms of penetrating defenses that are sitting. So we might actually want to consider dropping him back from the gunman, probably to the number 10 or the wing, and putting Rashford up front. This might actually help Manchester United with some penetration, because he actually is the player that actually is managing to go past players the most. Another thing that you want to consider is McTominay. McTominay looks like he's going to be our replacement for Lukaku in the air when it comes to attacking. So Manchester United might want to look at letting McTominay run onto the ball in the area, probably cross some balls for him and see how good he is with the head. I'm not sure if he's very renowned for that, but he's a boy who has adapted a bit well considering how fast he's been made to come up. So Manchester United, look out for McTominay probably providing an attacking threat in the air by providing him something up there. Another thing you will actually notice now defensively is, unlike in the Mourinho days where all of the players used to contribute defensively, Manchester United, only the back line is contributing defensively, especially aerially. It's possibly the centre backs who are doing most of the work. Now this has left Manchester United vulnerable and has led to it actually conceding critical goals at critical times. So if they're not doing so well going forward, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should consider pulling some of them back so that they can do some defensive work. I'm sure against much better teams like Liverpool will actually ship in a lot of goals, because the forwards are not doing much when going back. So are the midfielders. It's something that Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer want to look at. So that is it, folks. Manchester United is in trouble, and I was expecting it to actually have problems against Leicester, but not so early against the likes of Crystal Palace. I'll be bringing the review of the preview of the Southampton match on the next video, and actually give you a forecast of what's going to happen there. But looking at the Crystal Palace match, a lot of things were not right. The centre backs were playing a bit too high, which actually gave Palace that avenue to goal. Paul Pogba was playing too deep in a strategy that was not meant for that game. Crystal Palace was also sitting deep, so there was no way he was going to lob those long balls forward to Rashford so that he could run in on them. He was supposed to have been pushed forward. McTominay was not bossing any area of the pitch, and so was Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. You also look at the left, Rashford also was not bossing any area, and on the right, Daniel James was also not doing the same. In the middle, you might want to consider bringing in Mata in the next match, and like I said, probably dropping Martial to the wing so that he can offer more penetration for Manchester United. Otherwise, in the next match, it's actually going to be very complicated, because if you look at Southampton, it's a team which actually changes strategies a lot in between matches and within matches and between matches. They can switch from a 4-2-2-2 to a 3-5-2 to a 4-5-1, and if you look at all those formations, they concentrate on controlling the middle of the pitch, or stopping the other team from controlling the match through the middle, and this is how Manchester United actually has been getting some results. So it's going to be interesting to see how Southampton set up against Manchester United, probably to stop them from playing to the middle, as it's become predictable like that, and to see how Manchester United is going to fare, because it's actually not able to operate in any other way. So actually, I have not previewed this match, but Manchester United can actually lose more points in that match, be it 2 points or the whole 3 points. It's going to be actually sad. So just subscribe to the channel and click on the notification button so you can hear the previews and the reviews as they come out. I actually also have other topics that I touch on. So cheers for tonight. See you in the next review.